Hi everybody, this is Joe Rebelo, known to many of you as Kenpo Joe in the martial arts and the internet. Welcome to Rebelo'S Kenpo Karate. In this month's show, we'll be featuring a seminar that I did at the Kenpo Gathering of Eagles for 2022, located in Collinsville, Illinois. The Gathering of Eagles originally started in 1999 with Great Grandmaster Al Tracy from the Tracy system of Kenpo. He decided to create a diversified event where all various systems of Kenpo and Kenpo could be depicted. The event ran for several years, and I'm very proud to be involved as one of the instructors for over 34 instructors at this event. My topic was real logic appearing faults, applying Ed Parker's theories, concepts, and principles to the Tracy system of Kenpo. Ed Parker was Al Tracy's original instructor, and many of the present concepts that Mr. Parker came up with easily apply to the Tracy system of Kenpo. And I really had a great time passing along my knowledge to the various attendees, and now to you, the viewing public of Rebelo'S Kenpo Karate. I'd like to take a moment to thank Grandmaster Jefferson Davis and Master Bill Dalton, who helped promote the event and put the event together. And I hope that you enjoy the seminar from the Kenpo Gathering of Eagles here on Rebelo'S Kenpo Karate. Didn't know if they were going to introduce me. If not, no problem. Okay, very good. All right, attention stance. Okay, we'll do the full salutation, okay? Warrior and scholar meet. What size differences? Go forth into battle. Back to back, pull the punches together. I have no weapons. I can conceal my treasure. I pray for forgiveness. Left with me straight and closed. If you don't have the salute, no problem. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Rebelo. I'm known throughout the martial arts and the internet as Kenpo Joe. How an AOL screen name became my nom de plume, I'll never know, but I'm really glad it has. I'd like to share a very interesting topic for my seminar today, and it's called Real Logic Appearing Faults. Ed Parker's Kenpo theories and concepts applied to the Tracy system. The way it started was I was at an event with Roger and Steve Williamson, and I believe you were there as well, in Tennessee. And I was talking to high-ranking Tracy Kenpo black belt Roger Lee. And he had a very interesting story he told me. He told me how when they asked about Ed Parker's theories and concepts, that Mr. Tracy referred to it as false logic. At which point, I did the two things you never do during sex: point and laugh. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Many people, including many people that are here, are wearing variations on Ed Parker's patch combined with the Tracy's. Again, when I interviewed Mr. Tracy in the early 1990s, which by the way will be on next week on YouTube from my episode Martial Arts Today Television, he spoke glowingly of his experience with Mr. Parker and training with him. And it was funny, off screen he was talking about one particular person he was angry with. And suddenly he dropped into a front twist, boom, with a sandwiching elbow, and went, "There's Ed Parker." And he stopped for a moment. I said, "Mr. Tracy, that's the ultimate compliment that I can pay you. You move exactly like your instructor." And he got a smile on his face. We ended up talking for the next 8 hours. But simply stated, Ed Parker's Kenpo is a series, concepts, principles are not exclusive to Ed Parker's Kenpo. They're exclusive to Kenpo and martial arts in general. So what we're going to do, if you don't do Ed Parker's Kenpo or Tracy Kenpo, no problem, you're going to learn a bunch of new techniques. You're going to have a field day. If you do the Tracy system of Kenpo or do the Parker system or any variation thereof, like the Connor system of Kenpo, you're still going to get something out of this, and that's the key. There is an audience participation part of the seminar. I will mention certain phrases and I will ask you to repeat them. One phrase that Mr. Parker taught me from Kenpo is, for every move, theory, concept, principle, or definition, there is an opposite and a reverse. Let's repeat that out loud, please. For every move, theory, concept, principle, or definition, there is an opposite and a reverse. What's that mean, right? So we're going to pick select techniques from the Tracy system of Kenpo, and we're going to show you how that applies. Now, the first technique I'm going to pick is also, we have in Kenpo, master key movements, master key techniques. in Mr. Tracy's system that he learned from Mr. Parker, what do we have? Well, we have 5 swords, we have thundering hammers, we have dance of death, we have leap of death, we have in Kenpo, and Mr. Parker said we call it the backbreaker, you call it crane leap. And we have basic techniques that are inherent to both systems of Kenpo. It's not exclusive to one or the other. So, we also have master key moves. Movement. What makes a master key? Can anyone tell me? What's a master key?
Applies to multiple situations.
It's a one key that opens all the doors in the building, right? So, there are many master keys in the Tracy system of Kenpo. Now, the first one we're going to pick is called the button and the lever. And Mr. Parker also had another phrase, where linear moves end, circular moves begin. And where circular moves end, linear moves begin. So, our first master key basic. Hey, anybody recall this? Or maybe this. What am I doing? Right, a back elbow into a rear hammer fist, correct? Okay. Where do we learn it first in Tracy Kenpo?
Orange belt.
What technique?
Japanese stranglehold.
Japanese stranglehold. B or C, right? And what do we learn? We learn where the linear move of the back elbow ends, the circular move of the rear hammer fist begins. Now, who here does not have Japanese stranglehold? Cool. All right. Who here would like to demonstrate the attack? And everybody does this. All right, nobody wants to volunteer. Roger, come on up. This is my buddy and internet friend and YouTube channel creator, Roger Grimes. At Shodan 1179? 97. I had a dyslexic moment. So let's go over what Japanese stranglehold is and why it's called that in the first place. So, please demonstrate it on me, please. Now, up, please. Okay, so this is known as a naked strangle. In the art of jiu-jitsu, we have what's known as shimewaza. These are choking and strangulation techniques. Now, the key ingredient is, the best part about him doing this technique to me is, go ahead. His hands are full. Whack, ow, right? I do B or I could do C, right? Hey, what do we say? Where linear, let's repeat all together. Where linear moves end,
Circular begin.
and where circular moves end, linear moves begin. Ta-da! Right? Shining example. But it's an Ed Parker theory, concept, or principle. Ooh, we can't say that, we do Tracy Kenpo. Really? You know, it's Kenpo, and that's the key. So let's find a partner and pair off on this. So there's B and there's C. B, and actually I should say there's one other. Thank you very much, Roger. Give him a round of applause. Cool. So again, the key ingredient here is that both my opponent's hands are full. What's he gonna block with? His solar plexus and his groin. Hi, I don't know about you, I do Kenpo, the most groin-obsessed system in the world. We find new and interesting ways to hit someone in the crotch every day, okay? You know, my friend Mark Page, known to many of you as Master Ken and entered the dojo in America Dote, he did one video called 100 Ways to Hit the Groin, a second one, another 100 Ways to Hit the Groin. You know what we call that in Kenpo? A real good start. So, what we're gonna do, you pair off with a partner, one person's going to hold you. Now, again, the one thing that I didn't do that's taught tradition to Tracy Kenpo system that I really should do on this technique is the following. Come back, Roger, for a moment. So we have a choke and we have a strangle. What's the difference? A choke cuts off air, a strangle cuts off blood. Now, if I'm going to do this technique, I'm going to add one little ingredient to this. I'm just going to anchor my elbow. It's amazing the amount of leverage you have by simply doing this. It takes the pressure off the choke and or strangle, and then I can strike and hit. That's the key. So that's the key. So when a person grabs you, what do? Another Kenpo law. Whatever the attitude, so is the response. So if he grabs me, I grab him. And I anchor my elbow. Again, right? Another Kenpo phrase. Again, it's not exclusive to Parker Kenpo. It's a Kenpo thing, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the key. So, all we're going to do, we're going to anchor our elbow, we're going to step out to our horse. If you want to, you can shoot the hand out. David German taught me a version of this where he pokes the guy in front of us, elbows the guy behind him, hits him, puts him in Sankyu, locks him up. Great technique. But again, I can shoot my hand out and drive. Why? His hands are full. What's the worst thing he's going to happen? He's going to let go to block me? Great! That's what I wanted him to do in the first place. You know, if he lets go, cool. There's no more lock. I got a free arm. I'm locking somebody up. And we're going to go into that in a moment. All right, so let's face this way. Let's all do it together. And again, it's called Japanese stranglehold because it is. It's a basic, rudimentary jiu-jitsu technique known as a rear naked strangle. So, all we're going to do is this. We're going to do the right side, we're going to do the left side. So again, I'm going to do the right side first. I'm going to grab with my left hand, put the horse, shoot my hand out in front of me, back elbow, rear hammer fist. Very simple. Get up, Japanese stranglehold. Grab, horse, hand out, back elbow, hammer fist. Any questions on that particular simple technique? Pair off, hit somebody. Go to work. Now remember, you can't hit what you can't see, Kenpo law. So if you're gonna hit him with that back elbow, look, see your targets. Thank you. I see a couple things going on. Some people are snapping the hammer fist. Some people are coming with outward elbows instead of back elbows, doing their own little variations. Some people go, well, from here, I can. And that's the beauty of Kenpo. Kenpo are open-ended techniques so that you can graft into other techniques or creative thought processes as whatever target. You know, people here at our phone company, AT&T, in Kenpo we do AAT, any available target. What's open? I want to hit it. Right? And we want to have a series of what? Flowing motions that move with continuity. Oh, by the way, another Kenpo element. What makes it Kenpo? If you're doing multiple strikes with one hand, you're doing Kenpo. That's why it identifies Kenpo as opposed to karate. Now, again, if you do Hungar Kung Fu, right, Tiger Crane, block set, right, multiple strikes with one hand. Get the idea? Hey, what I said at the beginning of this class, for every move, theory, concept, principle, and definition, there's an opposite and a what? Reverse. Reverse. Hey, isn't there a technique called reverse hammerlock in the Tracy system of Kenpo? Roger, come on up, show me that attack. So now we add on a new ingredient, and that's the hammerlock, right? The hammerlock goes from here. Now, as opposed to the, what's the opposed to the inside is the outside. Who can demonstrate this technique? Anybody? Come on up. All right, demonstrate the technique for a moment. So, Roger, you put it in the hammerlock. Okay, move. Oh! Look what happened. Back up 3 steps, guys. Please. What do we have here? Thank you. Excellent. So now, actually, Roger, come on over here for it. Hey, in jiu-jitsu, we have 5 fundamental techniques for standing defense. They are known as the outside wrist flex, the inside wrist flex, the outside arm bar, the inside arm bar, and the center lock. In Aikido, we know it as Nikyo, for Billy, my buddy who does Aikido, right? Again, so now, what are we learning about? Hey, I can do an arm bar. So when he puts me in the hammerlock, I want to work against this. Again, we want to, right? In Kenpo, when someone grabs us, Kenpo law, what do? You either pin or re-grab. In this case, I take, turn facing. I take my right hand and I re-grab his grip. When I turn my body, I straighten his arm. Hey, guess what that is? An arm bar. But wow, we never thought about doing an arm bar to the rear of an opponent. We would do normally what classic arm bar technique, everybody? Crossing, right? We're used to doing this against a cross wrist grab, right? Hey, we never thought, the guy puts us in a hammerlock that we turn, hey, that's an arm bar. Roger, where are you, Roger? Where you going? That's an arm bar. Wow. But again, with the elbow being used, that becomes a what? The button. And if we got the button, we got the the lever. So now when he locks me up, but he mentioned me, there you go. Mentioned me in a seminar. So I step off, here's the button, here's the lever. Now, here's the thing. It's all based on which foot Roger has forward. What do I mean? Well, when I do this action, when I step and I lock him here, hey, I want that groin to be open. What if it's not? Remember AAT, any available target? You pop him right in the quad. This is now as we say in Kenpo, you're facing your work. So now when I face my foot, that button, pow, I hit him there. Hey, if I really want to be nasty, I got this wonderful nerve ending that lays diagonally across the leg called the femoral artery. This is the one the Muay Thai people love to do leg kicks to and make you cripples. Bang! I hammer him right there. Wow, I would never think in a million years. Hey, the opposite of inside is outside. I did Japanese strangle B and C. Hey, I wonder what would happen. Ooh, can I clear that? Could I do this? Right? What technique? Hey, here's your Tracy Kenpo question. What technique ends with that? It's one of the only places where we do an inverted vertical strike with a tiger mouth. So back through your quick review tapes and manuals, and you tell me at the end of class if you know it. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. So, very good. All right, so now let's try this out. So the opposite of inside is outside. So now we're going to start with an arm bar, and that arm bar, you know, people don't even realize it, right? We do it all the time. We do arm bars, and we're so used to this. Hey, what's the opposite inside? Outside. Right? We have an inside arm bar that we use, right? But never, wow, I'm using that elbow to the outside of an arm. Something new and interesting. Opposites and reverses, folks. Pair off and try it. If you don't know the technique, talk to someone who does, or I'll assist you. 5 times each, everybody. Go to work. Get the idea where we're going in this? Great, let's continue on. Hey, we have a technique in Mr. Parker's system, we call it cross of destruction. In the Tracy system, we call it bridge. So, grab something. So again, this is used against a rear, two-hand, stiff arm choke. So he's reaching behind, right? And we teach you how to reach over the top and push against the thumbs. Now we have a couple of different variations on this in the Tracy system. And we're going to step out the horse, and we're going to break against the thumbs. I'm going to pull the hands palm up. I don't know. What? I don't know. Let's go for a walk. La 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 la. Right, his hands full. La 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 la. We subtitled how to make your opponent feel stupid. Right? Now he could knee me because I can't see a knee coming. So I'll cross one arm over the other. Now when I do that, we lift. Why? Elbow hammer fist. Right? So again, he grabs me, I grab, I break against the thumbs. Hey, I'll show you a quick one from David German that you'll love. So David German would take one, he'd do an outside wrist flex with the other, and push against the thumb. Come here. Hang on! Hey, wait on! Come on! And he'd lock that thumb and make the guy spin. He'd never go right into Nikyo Billy and crank him with that sucker off that, or Sankyo rather, right? Oh, yeah, that cranks. So now, again, we call this ambidextrous behavior, symmetrical action. What's that mean? Well, how many people here right-handed? Raise your hand. How many people are left-handed? Raise your hand. We're no matter who's right, we're all that's left. Okay? So as a lefty, I might want to do it this way so I can hit with my dominant hand as opposed to the other way. But guess what? It will still work. Right side or left side. Why? He grabbed me with both of his hands. What's he going to block with? Whatever I hit. And then I cross it. And as you know, in later techniques, what Mr. Tracy would do from there, Eric, he'd lock the arms and then he'd throw the guy to the ground like a hip throw or shoulder throw. So again, bridge. I step out the horse, I reach and grab, I anchor my elbows, pulling down, pressing directly and locking the thumbs. Now, from here, depending on what foot I step with, that's the hand that's going to go over the top. So if I step with my right, it's right over left. If I step with my left, it's left over right. But in either instance, once I do that, what am I going to do? Well, it's a bridge. It's straight. I pick it up in the air. His arms are locked and crossed. Hammer back. hammer fist, right? Back elbow, hammer fist. I, of course, would never go from there. Of course, we can. That's the beauty of Kenpo. All right, let's do it together. It's bridge. So, rear, two-hand, stiff arm, choke. We'll do the right side first. Grab, down the bottom of your right, right over left, lift, left side. And if you want to do the opposite, grab, step out with your left, walk the bump, left over right, lift, elbow, hammer. Get the idea? Is there anyone here who doesn't have bridge besides Eric? Okay, go play. Go to work, hit somebody. An important technique in the Tracy system of Kenpo, which comes from the Parker system of Kenpo. In Parker Kenpo, we call the technique circling wing. In the Tracy system, we call it crash of the eagle. And crash of the eagle is such an important technique that we addressed a series of movements on two separate occasions. Crash of the eagle and in Crash of the Eagle Part 2, which elaborates upon it. And again, another important ingredient of what makes it Kenpo. Kenpo has extensive use of iron fist and poison hand strikes from Kung Fu. A closed fist strike with any part of your fist is considered iron fist. An open hand strike with any part of a finger or fingers or other open parts of the hand is considered poison hand. And again, crash of the eagle. Anybody know why we call it crash of the eagle?
I learned it from teaching yours. I think an eagle landed and you landed.
Exactly. When an eagle attacks, he doesn't swoop with one claw, he swoops with both. So the twin talons are in that choking action. And what are we doing? We're taking our elbow, we're stepping off the line, and we're crashing down on the eagle's limbs. Crash of the eagle. So, hey, I step off, and here's another master key movement, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, out of curiosity, how many techniques in the Tracy system do this? Elbow up, claw down. And we laugh, there's at least 9 of them in the system that all do that, either individually of itself, either outside of an arm or inside of the arm. Hey, which one goes to the outside of the arm, which one goes to the inside? Look that sucker up, right? But again, upward elbow, claw. Why? Because in Kenpo, I want my opponent to say the following at the end of a fight. I never saw what hit me. You gotta look at somebody else and go, hey, what did you hit me with? I didn't see it. And a shining example, maybe. So, we have wonderful techniques, like I said, crashing eagle. Another one we have that's somewhat similar is the technique headlock A, clawing down elbow. But anyway, the key ingredient here is this. So, okay, so when I'm here, and he does, again, a rear, two-hand, stiff arm choke. Why? Because sometimes you have leverage and sometimes you don't. If he anchors his elbow, hey, I step off the line and stretch his arm. Over the top and I pin here. Right? This technique, I poke him in the eye, I check my elbow. Down. Oh, that downward hammer again, but no elbow. But we learned how to move in a circle up, as opposed to a circle up, is a circle down. We're circling up with our elbow, down with the hammer fist. It's in more than one place in the Tracy system. So, like I told you, let's add that previous concept. I'm going to step over, I'm going to hit, I'm going to drive up. Hey, you know what? He'll never see that. He won't see it. By the time his head comes back down, I've already elbowed him and hammer fisted him. Now he's too busy trying to grab his soul plex to hold on to his. Suddenly he's Michael Jackson. Right? So suddenly, right? I don't want him to see this. I don't want him to see this technique. I want him to be completely shocked and amazed and appalled and have no idea what I just hit him with. And you know what? He doesn't know if I can do it again. That's the beauty of Kenpo. So that's what we're going to do here. All right. So again, what do I want to do? His elbows are bent. He's got leverage. He's anchored his elbows. He's choking me. I need to straighten his arms out so he doesn't have leverage. I need to knock one arm, preferably his dominant hand, down. People say, why is it so important to hit the right arm? Because that's the one you could let go and hit me with. Most of like him and I are alone in the room. We're lefties. Most people have right handed. So he might let go and try to punch me as he's grabbing onto me. I gotta stop that. Gotta stop that hand. So from here, excellent stance, crashing eagle part 2. Step off diagonal, off the power line and hit that. Overhead outward elbow. Check. Elbow up. Now immediately, watch. Watch my hand. Really go around in circles. It circles around and down. Circles around my head. Hey, is that kind of like bridge where I took the arm and crossed it over to make the arm cross? So again, from here, left foot steps off, right overhead outward elbow. You want to make things nice, poke him in the eyes. Elbow up, circle around hammer, pow, first blow. We call this an in-place stance change. Master of Kenpo, Elvis Presley. Elvis would finish a Kenpo technique and he'd always finish what? Don't you ever touch me again. And always had to hold his hand so when he more man, don't you ever touch me again. So when I'm moving here, go up, hammer down. I always say if you do it right, rotate, your belts swing back and forth. That's how you know you're doing it. Right? Rotate, win. You hit him on the way in, you hit him on the way out. That's Kenpo. Okay, 2 times again and 5 times. Here we go. Stretch eagle, part 2. I won't tell you what letter it is. Ready, step off. Overhead outward elbow. Hey, poke him in the eyes if you want to. Check it. Elbow up. You won't see that. You definitely won't see. Hammer to groin. Could I put in a back elbow into the hammer fist? Of course. Right? We can add as much as we want. And that's what we start to creatively graft, ladies and gentlemen. Start grafting other techniques into the technique we have. Go play, hit somebody. Now make sure that right arm is still there. Hey, let's give you a treat, shall we? Okay, so I studied professional wrestling for many years in different forms of grappling, jiu-jitsu, chin-na, rusu, all these forms. And one of the cool ones that I learned in Japanese professional wrestling is called the Japanese arm drag. And we're going to show how that works. So again, show some elbow, poke him in the eye, grab his head back. Japanese arm drag. All I do from here, I circle the arm around on top, and step back with my left foot. Hey, I could back fist it from there, couldn't I? Sure I could. What technique we have to go over later on? Boom, back fist, right? We'll show that later on. By the way, that same technique we learned Tracy Kenpo system in Kenpo is known as punch art 1. The first technique that they learn against the punch art Kenpo. So that's something you can have a little fun with. Again, once you hammer, just circle around, bring it in, boom, drag him in. Worried about his head hitting you? Bang. Back fist is one of the critical weapons that we use in Kenpo. Right? In traditional karate, they won't call it in tournaments for many, many decades. The Japanese would not call it as a point. No power. Nishiyama, the famous Japanese karate master, was so upset with the BKF because in tournament competition, people like Steve Sanders and Donnie Williams, they would say no power. And after they said no power, the BKF practitioner would knock out the karate guy with a back fist. Say, hey, want to wake him up and tell him there's no power with that? He was so upset, even in his DVD on traditional karate. He has one section with all pictures and books about the BKF saying, oh, it's a bastard art, it's a terrible art, and it knocked us the hell out. So the back fist is one of the identifying weapons that we know makes a technique Kenpo. That's the key. All right, we're going to go with another one. We're going to go to one of the advanced ones, one of the brown belt techniques. Who here knows the escape? Face the camera. You can see yourself. Perform the escape. Now, again, what are we learning? Hey, we're learning to do circular motion. So, get this. So when I'm working with Jonathan, right? Johnson comes in with a punch, right? And they go, ah! Right, they terrifying. I like to quote that great master of Kenpo, Billy Preston. Where they go around in circles. Where do you go from there? Hey, I was talking earlier. What's the difference between a judo throw and a jiu-jitsu throw? Do you know? In jiu-jitsu, they throw you against the joint. That way they break your arm as they throw you. Jiu-Jitsu Kano changed it to bending so we did not break limbs when we did. Breaking an arm? Welcome to Kenpo. That's the game. But again, what do we see? Hammer fist. Hey, remember the technique we showed you? We're showing on camera now. David German. I lift the arm over my head like bridge, but now I open it and I hold a samurai sword. Now he's very flexible. Straight up. Wow. See, he's not moving. Wow. So he has a high degree of flexibility. What I want to do here, I want to keep the hand like so. Now watch. See how far back that pinky's going? So he's got a high range of flexibility. So what I would do, if I can't get up, I'll go down. I'll go down. Pop it with an elbow. But what I want to do is here, up, lift. I want to straighten this and I want to get this. Now like I said, it's not working on it. Now watch. So, not everybody has a high range of flexibility, and this is why we learn other techniques. And again, it's not to say that I can't hurt Jonathan, right? I have to do other things. And the beauty of it, we're at the Kenpo buffet. If I don't have one dish I like, I got 27 others I can have. But here in that same action, much more. Block, turn, elbow, strike, top, turn, lift, and we're going to bring hand up. And then turn from here. Back to that ethnic folk dance we talked about earlier, right? Block and trap. If you really want to do nasty things, you grab your pinky, and then you and then you do the wonderful action from Wally J, known as the dance of pain. When I work on a joint, jiu-jitsu, three things I can do. I can press it, I can hyperextend it, I can twist it off. When I do this, right, it's that pinky. I would go. Right? Like talk about Jonathan. I can't lock Jonathan in high position, but I can turn him down and anchor his elbow like that. That would be cool. Get the idea? You try to play with? Okay, we got one more for this, and then we're going to go on to our next one. Oh, so I got to do the escape. So again, you step in, you parry, turn, back elbow, hammer fist. Now, we'll stop it at that point. I know we can go on and do the throw and everything, but for safety's sake, we're just going to do it to that point. Does anyone here not know the escape? Raise your hand. Okay. So again, all we're going to do, Eric, we're going to step in with an inward parry and grab. We're going to spin back position, elbow, hammer fist. That's it. That's it. And what does it teach us to do? Hey, it teaches us to move to the inside as opposed to the outside. It teaches us to move in a circular fashion opposed to a linear fashion. We call it in Kenpo category completion. We're completing various categories of motion while still using what? The same master key movement. And because all those techniques have that in there, it becomes a master key technique. Everybody see how it works? Go play 5 times. Go hit somebody. Hey, we got one last one to go over to give us that idea on family-related movements. Hey, what a family-related? What's that mean? All right, so we got one more technique. We talk about family-related techniques. What's the first technique in the Tracy system?
Chinese sword.
Huh?
The Chinese sword.
Nope, wrong country.
Japanese sword.
Japanese sword. Block out, high, chop in low. We're talking about this, right? And then we have Chinese sword, where we block in low and chop out. And then later on, what technique do we have that we go from high to low? We have one that does it. We have another one that goes from low to high. Why? We're showing the diamond. It's called the universal pattern in that Marcus Kenpo. It's that diamond shape. Body doesn't work on diagonals. Who has the technique Oriental lever? What? Roger, can you help him out? What's the attack? Wow. So now, what are we basically doing? Okay, here's an important phrase from Kenpo. How many older people remember the TV show Match Game with Gene Rayburn? Charles Nelson Riley and Bridget Radner was, right, Jack Clutton's wife. Okay. Blank is nothing more than blank. Oriental lever is nothing more than the escape against the right roundhouse. Right? It's basically the same technique. What changes? The attack. The attack changes. But basically, isn't it still stepping in, inward parry, back elbow, hammer fist? George Carlin, master of the martial arts, had a great phrase. No matter where you go in life, there you are. So when you go through this technique, here I am, right? I'm in the same place. I'm doing the same action. I'm doing the same master key move. And in so doing, I have a whole series of techniques in the Tracy system that all apply that master key move against various types of attacks. That's the key. All right, come on beside me. So again, we're stepping in with parry, right? Oh, now what do we do? Turn. Back elbow hammer fist. What do we do from there? Right. Now we're going to do the arm breaker. Now we're going to turn his head, elbow pointing down, arm straight, and I'm going to yank down. And I'm not going to throw it. Why? I want to break his arm. Snap! There's a reminder, something to remember me by. Have a nice day. While he's busy clutching his arm, I'm leaving. There's a classic 1960s poster I never forgot. Do unto others, then split. All right, that's the key. Thank you, sir. All right, let's try it out. We already know the basic technique. All we're going to do now, we're going to add that arm break in there. Now, could that arm break, could I just bow and throw him from that point? Yeah, that's the escape. But now we're breaking it instead. So all I do is, I step in, I parry, I turn, back elbow, hammer fist, re-grab, turn hand, palm up, both hands grab like a samurai sword, right over left, and break. Oh, by the way, that's where that comes from, by the way. That comes from someone wielding a samurai sword and doing a basic overhead cut, shomanuchi.
Yes, sir.
We started to see master key moves and master key techniques and how this Parker stuff applies to the Tracy system of Kenpo. Why? It's Kenpo. Who was Al Tracy's instructor? Ed Parker. He had others, but that was his main instructor. All this stuff is what Ed Parker used to teach. I was at a seminar in Saugus, Massachusetts, and Mr. Parker was talking about dealing with various criminals. He used to teach for the different law enforcement agencies and police departments. And what they would do, they'd pick them up in Pasadena, they'd drive to the end of their jurisdiction, they'd have another cruiser there, they'd pick them up there, and they'd drive them along from different jurisdictions so he could teach. So one day he's at one of the jurisdictions, and going at the end of the seminar, one of the officers come up, Mr. Parker, can you help us for a moment? Sure, what's going on? We got a real problem prisoner, we're trying to get him in his jail cell, he ain't moving. And so there was this prisoner, large individual, grabbing onto the bars, and there was like 5 officers trying to buckle him, and he would not move. So he's going. So then, Mr. Rebelo, I'm getting hit again. So I come up, and I'll never forget. It was in the office of Tony Cogliandro, and I braced my legs out, locked my arms out, and he grabbed the side of my head, grabbed the other side. Thrusting sweep, kicked out, spun me like a top into Tony's office. What technique did he do? Turning the key. Guess what? Ed Parker's Kenpo doesn't teach turning the key. So here was Ed Parker at an Ed Parker demonstration teaching an original technique that he no longer taught, but the Tracys do. All right, we're going to go on to another master key move, shall we? Earlier we talked about Crash of the Eagle. And we're gonna go to another similar technique and talk about something important. Who has advancing phoenix? Blue belt technique, number 3. And I thank each and every one of you for demonstrating the techniques from your and my and our system. All right, your name, sir? Benjamin. Benjamin, come on over here. Face the camera, make sure you can see yourself in it. And please demonstrate advancing phoenix. Wow. Hey, what am I doing here? One more time, buddy. 1, 2, 3. Elbow up. Tiger claw down. Bing. Yet another technique to demonstrate this. But what does he do before that? He does an inward downward diagonal hammer fist or a block. What changes? Application. So again, what's the attack here? Now, so come on up. So again, I grab Benjamin's lapel. The opposite of up is down. Again. Go. He lifts up, kicks me out. Overhead inward elbow down, up, back down. In the Parker system, we call this technique conquering shield. And we prefix it with an inward elbow. Come up, elbow down, elbow up to the chin, and claw the face. It's in, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. So, a friend of mine is George Elmer from New Jersey. He runs a system called American Chinese Kenpo Karate. He's working at loss prevention at the supermarket. He's one of the guys that's stealing meat from the meat department. So he goes to stake out his house. So it's a really bad neighborhood. These 2 African-American gentlemen sitting on the stoop walk up to him, knock on the window, and go, "Hey, you don't belong here. You're not from this neighborhood. You a cop? What are you doing here?" So George gets out of the car. The guy's much taller than George. And he reaches out to grab George and winds up to punch him in the face. I get a phone call from George. "Hey Joe, I got a question." "Yeah. I broke this guy's arm in 4 places. I don't know what I did." "Okay." So come to find out, he had broken his forearm, he busted his elbow, blew out the guy's bicep, and dislocated his shoulder, all in like less than a second and a half. What did I do? Tell me the injuries again. Now it happens, he blasts this guy, cop comes up, and he goes, "All right, where is it?" He's like, "Where's what?" "The weapon, the crowbar, the 2x4, the baseball bat. You broke that guy's arm in 4 places."
You've got 5 minutes.
Okay. He says, "What, he said, where's the weapon?" Supervisor pulls up. He says, "Man, I'm trying to get the weapon from the guy." Supervisor goes, "Nah, man, you don't get it. George Elmer is the weapon." So when he explained it, I was like, "Oh yeah, you did conquering shield, Tracy system advancing phoenix." I blow on his back leg, I come up, drive down on his arm, preferably the bicep, to blow out the bicep like a water balloon. I elbow him up under the chin and drop the claw into his face. At that point, you have a handful of face and he has a face full of hand. Okay? Will he see whatever else you do to him? No. That's the fun of the technique. So let's try this out. Advancing Phoenix, blue belt technique number 3. Yeah, I know, I don't have a license. So anyway, I want to pin the arm. Now in conquering shield, I do an inward block because I want to lock his arm. As I blow out his back leg, cross check, kick out the leg, and then I come up, and then drive down right on his bicep, blow out that bicep. Then I come up, and what does that do to him? It does this. How do I stop him from unintentionally headbutting him? Well, I elbow him up into the shin, and knocks his head back, and drop the claw into his face. Gee, if I do techniques like headlock A, could I rip left pawn, let me throw? Yeah, sure I can. That's what makes it fun. One more time, pair off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're learning to do what? Repeat. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. What is it? It's a yo-yo. It goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. That's the key. Any questions on that technique? Go ahead, somebody. So I got 4 more pages of stuff I wrote up, and I was like, I didn't expect to go through it. First of all, hey, Billy, go. All right, so the first question, did you have fun?
Yes, sir.
Did you learn something new?
Yes, sir.
Did you learn something about the art that you already knew but didn't know it in that context?
Yes.
Yes.
So, my recommendation to you, pick up Ed Parker's Infinite Insights into Kenpo, Volume 1 through 5. It's not limited to Ed Parker's Kenpo. Because guess what? If you do the Tracy system of Kenpo, you do Ed Parker's Kenpo. Man admitted it to me himself. You know, but there are certain techniques that are unique that, simply stated, the Tracy still teach them, Ed Parker doesn't anymore. Hi, I'm Joe Rebelo'S, known as Kenpo Joe. I'm Kenpo Joe. Google me, baby. Bing me later. I'm all over the internet. Can't find me on the internet? You're not looking. All right, take your stance. Meditation. Left foot out, horse. Left over right. Think about what you learned. Eyes open. Left foot be straight closed. Full salutation. The warrior and the scholar meet. They put aside the differences. Go forth into battle. Back to back. They pull me together. I have no weapons. I conceal my treasure. I pray for forgiveness. Let me right hand closed. And give yourself a big round of applause, everybody. Great job.